Secret of the Mimic is 35 days away, which, by the way, is insanely close. And because of that, I've been doing a lot of thinking about everything we know about the Mimic, as well as everything we don't know. And I think I've finally pieced together something that a lot of us have been wondering about the Mimic in general. And that is, if it's programmed to replicate anything it sees, why is it specifically replicating William Afton and everything he's done? And just a disclaimer, this theory is so ambitious that I'm not just solving what we're going to see in Secret of the Mimic, no, I'm solving what's coming after Secret of the Mimic. So slices, put on your aprons and let's bake ourselves a theory. So when I say that the Mimic 1 program is obsessed with William Afton, what do I mean by that? Well, the Mimic 1 program, for anyone who doesn't know, while incredibly sophisticated and impressive for its time, is rather simplistic in its scope. Its core programming is only to observe its environment and replicate what it's seen. That's all it is programmed to do. The overcoat might be too much for sitting down. I feel like it's too much for sitting down. Although taking it off with a cat on me is not proving to be too easy. Look, one day I want a real set. When I have a real set, I'm gonna need a real coat. But until then, you guys don't have to know that I'm sitting down and wearing shorts. While this observe and replicate core programming does go a long way to explain most of the things it does, there is one aspect about the Mimic 1 program's behavior that a lot of theorists rightfully scratch their heads at and have to try to figure out. And that is, why is it trying to replicate specifically William Afton? Because the Mimic 1 program, or its most recent iteration as Glitchtrap, definitely is trying to, in some ways, replicate William Afton. After all, in the silo of Security Breach, we see those staff bots posed like the Afton family. There's the fact that of the 3 things that Burntrap/Glitchtrap tried to control, they parallel Vanessa to Elizabeth, Glamrock Freddy to Michael, and Gregory to the Crying Child. Not saying they literally are these things, but they do line up. The scooper in the basement. Like, these are things that William Afton would be doing, so why is the Mimic 1 program so hellbent on getting it done? Well, some people argue that the dataset that it received during its time in the game Help Wanted corrupted its programming. So then I said, in reality, the laborer belongs to Capital before he has sold himself to Capital. His economic bondage is both brought about and concealed by the periodic sale of himself, by his change of masters, and by the oscillation of the market price of labor power. Capitalist production, therefore, under its aspect of a continuous connected process, of a process of reproduction, produces not only commodities, not only surplus value, but it also produces and reproduces the capitalist relation. On the one side, the capitalist, on the other, the wage laborer. I hardly know her. Eesh. Tough crowd. Must be some landlords out there. Oh, what's this? A sponsor. Today's video is brought to you by Fume. Nice. Whenever I'm trying to focus, I can't help but chew on gum, and a lot of gum, like multiple packs a week. And some habits, like that, while annoying, are harmless. Others? Well, Fume makes them easier to swap out. First of all, Fume, the sponsor of today's video, is not a vape, e-cig, or nicotine product. Nothing like that is in here. It's something totally different. A simple, satisfying way to replace bad habits without inhaling anything harmful. Just breathing in flavors that actually taste good. My personal favorite is crisp mint, but there are tons of options from citrusy to earthy and everything in between. But my absolute favorite part is that these are made to fidget with. Not only is it in a satisfying magnetic casing, but it clicks when you adjust it. And for chewers like me, they even have Fume toppers that are chewable and meant to be chewed on. Over 500,000 people have already added Fume to their daily routine, and I totally get why. It's simple, satisfying, and doesn't come with any of the downsides of smoking or vaping. And right now, if you order the Journey Pack with my code RYTOAST, you'll get a free Fume topper. So if you've been thinking about changing your bad habits, this is the perfect first step. Go to tryfume.com/RYTOAST or scan the QR code on screen to grab yours today. Thanks again to Fume for sponsoring today's video. The bar filled up a bit more. Well, hopefully that's a good thing. Where was I? Right. And then she says to me, just as a man is governed by the products of his own brain, so in capitalistic production, he is governed by the products of his own hand. And I said, after all, we know the Mimic 1 program observes its environment and replicates it. So when Fazbear provided the game company hardware to scan into the game, and then Glitchtrap was added, it's implied that the Mimic 1 program is added during that time. and the Mimic 1 program is put into a game that's literally a montage of the worst things that Fazbear and Afton ever did. So it's just gonna learn all the things that it sees in that game and create Glitch Trap. But is that true? Like, I myself have made that claim plenty of times. But while yes, FNAF 1, 2, and 3 all appear in this game, they chronicle the aftermath of what William Afton did. And frankly, the versions of Help Wanted really just show haunted animatronics. William Afton's name is never mentioned at all in this game. Going further, he only appears at all as Springtrap in FNAF 3, which according to Help Wanted is an in-universe game. The missing child incident isn't mentioned. The Bite of 83 isn't mentioned. They don't show the Scooper, they don't show much of any of Sister Location, so if the Mimic was training its dataset on Help Wanted, it doesn't make a lot of sense that it would go right to fully replicating William Afton. Because frankly, William Afton's appearances in this game are scarce to null. There's really nothing in Help Wanted specifically that would create a program so hell-bent on becoming the new William Afton. So other theorists have come to the conclusion that because of this, the Mimic 1 program must be somehow tainted by either William Afton's remnant, consciousness, or agony. Basically, some kind of William Afton juice is stirring up the pot and messing everything up. And while yes, this is possible, because we don't know for sure what was provided to scan into Help Wanted, so maybe it was part of Springtrap, or maybe it was something William Afton's agony was already infected. We don't know, but I tend to not like this line of thinking, because there really isn't any supporting evidence pointing to that explanation. In my opinion, this theory is more of a conclusion by its destination kind of theory. What I mean by that is, the Mimic does a lot of William Afton-like things, so when there isn't a clear reason why, possession can just be that reason. And while logically that makes sense, there really isn't any good supporting evidence pointing to that, at least none that I know of. So then, if the Mimic 1 program is trained on the Help Wanted dataset and then wants to recreate William Afton, why does it want to create William Afton, and how does it even know that many details about William Afton to be able to recreate him? Well, we still don't know its origins with Fazbear Entertainment, and that's where Secret of the Mimic might start to begin. Right now, all we know of the plot of Secret of the Mimic is that Fazbear Entertainment is trying to reclaim the Mimic for their own purposes, something that Edwin Murray made. Now, in the books, Edwin Murray didn't make it for Fazbear, and that still might be true for the games, and Fazbear's just lying to us, but as far as we know, this game is going to be successful, right? Like, there's going to be an ending where we reclaim the Mimic. Damn, already? You've just left me with fur and nothing else. I bought a lint roller, so cheers. After all, in the books we know that Fazbear did reclaim the Mimic endoskeleton, and even had a whole line of Mimic endoskeletons at some point, until they were discontinued after copying humans in unexpected ways. But as far as the games go, we've never heard of anything Mimic related in any Fazbear information or documents or branding or anything like that up until recently. So whatever it did, Fazbear must think it's so bad that it deserves to be wiped and not rebranded. I mean, Golden Freddy, Fredbear, bit a kid in front of a crowd of spectators and brought him into a coma, and he's still a marketable plushie now. The only other character who's gotten the wipe from history treatment is Spring Bonnie, and even then that's not fully accurate, because Springtrap in the books and because of Help Wanted is a marketable character now. So in a way, Spring Bonnie is too, it's just the Spring Bonnie suit that's never been recreated for Fazbear. However, the Mimic endoskeleton, while wiped from history, is intact and locked in the FNAF 6 basement. So even though they took it off shelves and don't talk about it, they clearly kept it. So we know that it did something so horrible that they locked it away forever but still maintained access to it, and we know that in the books they were originally shelved from Fazbear because they copied human in unexpected ways. Now think back to the Help Wanted 2 update that gave us some more information about Secret of the Mimic. How do you access the jigsaw puzzle? Well, after collecting the White Tiger plushie, Mystic Hippo says this.
A poor performer must be spry. Tomatoes are in short supply. We toss whatever may be by. A solid hit will make one cry.
And then you have to shoot the Mimic with something, and it makes this noise. Now, I don't know about you, but to me, this sounds like a digital cry of anguish, a robotic roar, if you will. So I think whatever this inciting incident was, it happened on stage. Someone tried to ruin the show, maybe threw a tomato up, and the mimic acted erratically, lashing out and attacking the audience. Fazbear then locked it away in case they could use it later, but they clearly didn't want that thing in public anymore. But that display showed how useful it could be to William. If there's one consistent thing about William Afton in every iteration we've seen, it's that he is obsessed with achieving immortality. Above all else, William Afton wants to unlock that secret to what makes life living. And I think when William Afton saw the mimic lash out like this, cogs started turning in his mind. There are other ways to achieve immortality. There are other modes of controlling death. While plan A is still to find a way to perfect and recreate life to make him immortal, this mimic endoskeleton could be plan B. What is a human if not a machine that replicates what it sees? If he could get this mimic to learn everything he knows, his personality, his history, his family relations, his goals, his dreams, and it was perfect, then it would be a perfect plan B. If his plans ever fail, his experiment goes awry, he gets caught, he gets found out, he dies of old age before he solves it, the mimic will be there waiting. His consciousness, his mind, digitally recreated, will live on. And that mind never ages, never goes hungry, can fully devote its body to the pursuit of immortality. And if it finally figured out that perfect recreation of life, maybe some far off day, it can come back and William Afton could revive himself through this mimic. So after Fazbear locked away the mimic never to be seen again, William Afton got to work, bringing it to the sister location bunker. Now think back to how William Afton acts in the Silver Eyes trilogy. He has Circus Baby basically watching over the things he's doing and learning from him. And just like that, the mimic could have been there watching William Afton do all of this, so he could show it if he dies, this is what it needs to pursue. Meanwhile, constantly reinforcing his life, his knowledge, and everything he has into this bot, because he doesn't want the mimic to be an it. He wants the mimic to be William Afton. So if his body fails, this new one can succeed. If he can overwhelm the mimic's observations, then maybe all it can replicate is him. You are me, and I am you. I am you, and you am I. You are me, and I am you. I am you, and you are me. Better. Of course, during this time, whenever William's not at the bunker, the mimic is kept safely locked away. And of course, eventually, William doesn't come back. He's too busy dying in Follow Me. So that mimic is still locked down in the sister location bunker, somewhere Michael doesn't find or doesn't think to let out. So it stays in that sister location bunker until eventually Henry Emily goes into that bunker to get information for the pizzeria simulator, the same time that he got the blueprints for the scooper. And while in there, Henry finds his old friend, or something that is a facsimile of it. This mimic, who acts, talks, and thinks just like William Afton did. He doesn't know what it's for, but he figures he might as well bring it with him. Imagine being Henry Emily in the basement of the FNAF 6 pizzeria, trying to make this fake simulator to capture and end everything, and meanwhile down the hall, a robot is speaking to you just like your old friend did, the one that started this all, just yelling at you down the hall. But of course, try to dissuade Henry as it might, Henry's plan worked, and the FNAF 6 pizzeria and all the inhabitants in that maze burned down. But for whatever reason, this endoskeleton is resilient, and it survives the fire, still trapped underneath, until eventually, part of it is recovered to be scanned into help wanted. And now, the mind of William Afton from the 80s is put into a game that basically catches him up to speed on everything he's been missing. And now it's time to get to work. Now I get this is an incredibly speculative theory, but I genuinely think this makes the most sense with what little information we have of this time period, that William was just basically trying to make himself again with this mimic in case whatever he was currently working on failed. And don't forget to click the link in the description or scan this QR code and use code RYTOAST to get a free Fume topper with a Journey Pack purchase today. Thanks again to Fume for sponsoring today's video. That, and I think it's pretty narratively cohesive, but feel free to let me know what you think in the comments below. And don't forget that on the second channel, RYTOAST, I actually do a lot of Nintendo stuff. Like recently when I covered my experience with the Switch 2 pre-order and the whole mess that it was in general. It's a much more laid-back kind of video and you can find it right here. If you want your fan art featured on the channel, make sure to share it with hashtag ToastArt. A huge thank you to the best channel members, the Dough Risers, and until next time, as always, stay toasty, slices.